Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conejo Valley Visionaries, a new podcast spotlighting the people and stories behind some of your favorite Conejo Valley small businesses. I'm your host, Christina Denstead. In today's episode, you'll hear from Mike Ashamalla and Shawn Orr, two of the co-founders of Tifa Chocolate and Gelato. Tifa started in 2007 as an online chocolate company selling educational international tasting kits. In September of 2007, they set up a cart outside of Nordstrom at the Topanga Mall, selling artisan chocolate bars. And by April 2008, they opened their first full chocolate and gelato store on Canaan Road in Agoura Hills. Tifa is truly a family business. Shawn and Candace, brother and sister, work hard with their respective teams to craft all of the products that they make at Tifa, including the incredible flavors of their gelato. While Denise and Mike, mom and dad, handle all the other aspects of the business. It is such a fun conversation to hear how this father-son duo work alongside their other family members to bring Tifa to life and have not only have their own stores in the Conejo Valley, but now franchise out the Tifa brand to markets across the country. I know you'll enjoy this conversation. It was inspiring to see how a family can work together to bring such an incredible concept to life. So with that, please enjoy my conversation with Mike and Shawn of Tifa. Hey, Mike and Shawn, thank you so much for joining me on Conejo Valley Visionaries today. I am absolutely thrilled to learn more about how your family created Tifa, one of my favorite gelato and chocolate shops in the area, but definitely gelato. And this is my first time having two co-founders on together. So I am thrilled to hear how the conversation unfolds. And maybe just to get started, if you guys don't mind introducing yourselves and sharing your relationship to each other.
Sure, and we'll try not to talk over each other. So I'm Mike Ashamalla. I'm dad and also grandpa, and work with Shawn, my son, and Denise, my wife, and Candace, my daughter, and Shawn's sister. And Shawn has two kids, so I'm grandpa there, and then Candace just had a baby, so we're grandma and grandpa. So I'm technically the CEO, and I handle really more of the background things, computers, accounting, other things like that.
So I'm Shawn, or the son, if you will. I am the director of sales, as well as franchise support. So I handle the whole sales process, but also intimately involved in all of the day-to-day support, openings, trainings, and all of these things with all the franchisees. And then as it pertains to kind of the corporate locations, the front of house is really my wheelhouse, kind of creating the culture community with the customers, and the employees more especially. We really pride ourselves on being an experience-based brand as opposed to just a product-based brand. We feel like this really resonates more with the community and kind of having a legacy brand. You kind of see this 8 to 10 year shelf life of these product-based brands. And so, this is our 17th year in operation now, and still growing in our corporate locations even. So, we've really kind of understood what it takes to be a legacy brand, and to have a 30, 40, 50 year, brand and storefront, in the same community, being able to stay relevant, and really truly, an experience is the only thing that can't be shipped to your door, right? In this new age. So, you see it with all the large mall offerings and these kinds of things. The soft goods are kind of, are able to easily be replaced, by being shipped to your door. But an experience is still something that, every family and everybody wants, in the world. So we really pride ourselves on our employees, look and feel of the store and culture and community of the stores to be very based in the community, and be a kind of a whole experience, like games, in the stores. It's kind of, for a lot of families, we're the only place where everyone puts their phone down for an hour, and plays chess, right. Hangs out with each other, these kinds of things. So it's really important. We honestly really started the corporate locations as just kind of just a service to our community more than anything. We we wanted a place like this to be. We didn't have a place like this to be. And so we kind of started it, slightly selfishly for ourselves, but it really turned out to be kind of something special. So that's
I love that I get to talk to both front of house and back of house, it sounds like. So it really brings like a good perspective to the conversation. And generally, like what we like to do with Conejo Valley Visionaries is go back to kind of early days and understand like what childhood dreams were like and how, and if your current career path that kind of like lines up with that. So it's a little different because we have two of them, but maybe we even go back to, you guys are obviously family members, father and son. Was this something that like in your, sitting at the dinner table when Shawn was a kid, were you guys talking about either owning your own business or chocolate and ice cream? Like I'd love to know what like those first conversations were like.
Yeah, I can start a little bit. So the answer is no. We didn't kind of plan it all this way. We kind of fell into it. We did all fall in love with gelato. I still remember it was a little gelato shop in Piazza Navona in Italy. My sister got married there, I think 20 years ago, and we all went for a visit and fell in love with gelato. And when we first opened in Agoura Hills on Canaan, it was a converted donut shop. People were still coming in saying, well, what is gelato? and there were some people that had been world travelers and they're like, oh my gosh, we saw this in Italy. But probably half the customers had no idea. I think it was 2008 when we first opened there, what gelato was. So we did all fall in love with it, but it wasn't something where we sat around the dinner table and said, let's do this. We just we were looking for something. So my wife, Denise, loves to feed people. And for the first, 5-6 years, all the local high school kids were coming in and they called her Mama Tifa or Queen Latifah. And, she would stand behind the counter and make them close their eyes and try the chocolate and try the gelato and say, do you know what strawberry tastes like? No, you don't. Try this. This is real strawberry. So we were looking for something that we could do together that involved food. But it wasn't something from the time they were kids that we planned on.
Okay.
And I don't know, Shawn, if you had aspirations of this, but I don't remember.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we always saw, our dad, starting businesses. He'd been part of so many startups and these kinds of things. I really truly feel like, if you kind of grow up seeing your parents, kind of paving that path, and kind of going that way, it's really not, to be totally honest, it's not really taught necessarily in schools too much, right? So you kind of have to see it to kind of get, like that want to do it, so, to be completely honest, when we're growing up and seeing them do these things, it kind of just seemed a little more natural to like kind of start your own thing, as opposed to kind of just be plugged into, somebody else's system that they've created, right? And get your normal 9-to-5 job, that kind of a thing, So there's kind of like maybe a little entrepreneurial spirit that was kind of bred into us a little bit to be able to start our own thing and just see it as a normal part of life. I think most people go through all the steps and do all the chores in school, you know what I mean? And then that sets them up to do more chores, you know what I mean? Essentially for another business, right? So there's a part or like a little spark in there. I think that was probably put into us, at a younger age of just kind of seeing my dad do it and just kind of thinking this is kind of a normal progression, to kind of start your own thing. But, as far as, the product, and stuff like that, I think we all just kind of said, hey, we're going to shoot for the stars here, we might as well just do something really fun, I love to say we were geniuses and we planned this all out and we knew that like, having this kitchen feel would be something that everyone resonates with. And all we did is just what we wanted to do, and what felt right to us. And then after it was wildly successful and all the dust settled, we kind of had to say, okay, now why did this work? Like why did this work so well? I love to say we were geniuses and figured out like, why did everybody in the community, respond to this so well? Why were we so successful so quickly? So, I'd rather be lucky than smart any day, and there's a little bit of
I appreciate
involved.
that you're being candid and saying you went into it sort of blindly, but with like true, it sounds like honest aspirations, right? Like you did it from an honest place and people connected with it. So I want to dig into that a little bit more, but let me just take one step back though. So Mike, you were an entrepreneur, you were doing startups, it sounds like, or at least involved in them.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you didn't even realize maybe the impact that was having on your kids.
Yeah, I mean, I started my first business when I was 19 and still in school. And I think I've been part of 5, maybe 6 different startups. And I manage technology teams and still do, I still have a day job. And so I still do that. So yeah, I guess the bug, kind of trickled down. I was always entrepreneurial. Um, and it was nice finally to be able to do something with my family. So that's been a lot of fun. And as Shawn said, it would be, we would love to claim that we planned all of this, but when we first opened in Agoura, on Canaan, we were doing importing and exporting of chocolate, high-end chocolate bars. And our very first foray was a little cart in the Topanga Mall outside of Nordstrom's, just selling chocolate. And that was kind of a test market. And we had already done some online chocolate tasting kits. But we really were looking more in Agoura initially as, kind of let's do a little retail up front. And we're going to concentrate on the importing and exporting, or they actually was just importing from France and from Ireland. Until I got that call from the U.S. Customs saying, you've got $30,000 worth of chocolate on a pallet here. It's 85 degrees. We ripped open all the boxes to check on it. You probably should come pick it up right now. So then that's when I thought, maybe the retail is doing really well. Maybe we should concentrate on that.
Okay. So you had this experience in Italy where you all fell in love with the gelato, but then you decided, at what point did you decide, let's do a business together? And then how did it turn into chocolate as like the first component of the business?
So it started with chocolate. I was doing some research on something that we could do together and something especially that Denise would enjoy. So we knew it had to be food. And I was just fascinated by the fact that, chocolate is like wine. It depends on where it was grown, what the weather was like, what the soil was like, that all of these nuances. And so we started doing these chocolate tasting kits because we said, as Americans, we know Hershey's and we know Mars, and we don't really think of chocolate as having different tastes. So we started with chocolate tasting kits, and then when we moved to Agoura, we decided to add the gelato. And then Candace, my daughter, ended up going. She and I took a gelato making class, and she ended up going to Cordon Bleu in Pasadena. And she's a certified pastry and baking chef, and she's the one who comes up with all of our gelato recipes. So again, it wasn't part of this master plan. It was a love of good food and looking for good quality food. So high-end chocolate, high-end gelato, things like that. And we just kind of kept going.
And in 2008 is when you first opened your first location. What was, you mentioned that people were calling it gelato instead of gelato. It sounds like, especially maybe in Agoura and the Conejo Valley, was artisan chocolate or artisan gelato a trend, or do you feel like you were kind of ahead of it when you opened the space?
I feel like we were a bit ahead of the trend. So what we did is we closed down early every Monday night, and Denise and I initially, and then eventually Shawn took over, we would do chocolate tasting nights. So that's how we got a lot of our customers, and actually some of our franchisees started with us. That was their first experience in Agoura, was a chocolate tasting. And I think we were booked for like 7 months ahead every Monday, for a long time. And it would be, ladies' nights and couples' nights, and we would go through like 9 or 10 different gourmet chocolates and have them taste them like doing a wine tasting. And then Shawn started doing it, and he added chocolate making classes that were very popular. Until he had kids, he was doing that. We have somebody doing it now, but Shawn had done that for many years, and it was very popular. So really, I think we kind of introduced people to it. And at the end of a chocolate tasting, they're like, well, I can't, and nothing against Hershey's. That's candy. We sell chocolate. People would like, I can't go back to Hershey's now. And so we kind of built a following, but it wasn't a trend that we spotted. I was just fascinated by the fact that we knew nothing about it, that the Europeans, had all of this knowledge, and we were completely ignorant, and just thought of chocolate as chocolate.
Yeah. And I like the distinction between candy and chocolate. It's a good way to, not pointing
nothing against candy.
Different. Exactly. So Shawn, I know you talked about experience and that being an important part of Tifa. Was that something that you brought to the table? I imagine in 2008 you were a lot younger than you are now, but not in terms of age, but that was probably early on. How did you come in and take on the business part of it?
Yeah, what we kind of found, to be honest with you, was, the name Tifa actually comes from our great uncle Tofik, who really kind of was this like world traveler, really kind of like pillar of teaching everybody about culture and community, food, and these kinds of things, right? So that's actually where the name Tifa comes from. A lot of our younger employees dubbed it, "This is freaking amazing." So, it's on all of our branded stuff, which is awesome. But
I like that. Was he Italian? Is your family Italian roots?
No, it's actually my uncle, and he's Egyptian, or he's passed away before we even opened the business. But he was Egyptian, and his name was Tofik, but Tifa was his nickname. Okay. And it's just kind of an homage to him.
Yeah, kind of a term of endearment, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the inside of the stores are a kitchen. That everybody, kind of turns out everybody has that kitchen in their life. We did. Growing up, all parties, family get-togethers, they always focused in the kitchen. No one was in the living room, or anything like that. Everyone's in the kitchen and making food and talking and eating and all this stuff. So we really just kind of felt like that's where, that's where our whole vibe and look and feel and kind of culture comes from, in our family. And I think most other families also really resonate with just kind of that kitchen. We kind of are, we're a little different, than your average, call it gelato brand, right? So we're the first ones to kind of say we're an American gelato brand, right? We're middle-class, American family, that's who our customers are. That's who our franchisees are, right? And we're just kind of a network, of kind of just these middle-class American families, and so all of their gelato brands and stuff are trying to be this Italian or French, and nothing against that or anything like that. But, we were just like, we're just going to be true to who we are, Yeah. So my sister, who's Cordon Bleu, graduates program, patisserie chef, went to New York to learn to become a gelato master, all these things, her recipes are reflective of kind of American culture. So we do wild stuff that you would never find, and that would be blasphemy in an Italian gelateria,
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask. I know the American twist. So what is a flavor example that really highlights that gelato origins with this American twist?
I can give you a funny example. So Candace, there's a traditional Italian gelato called panna cotta, which is like a cooked cream. And she added cinnamon to it. So she has panna cotta with cinnamon. And her Italian, I guess he's a gelato master, and he was her mentor. He came in and he was very upset. Why are you putting cinnamon in the panna cotta? You don't do that. Your whole country smells like cinnamon because of that Cinnabon place. She said, "This is what our customers like." And
like that very simple spice could be such
and it was like something you don't do in Italy. You cannot do this. And she's like, "Well, we're not in Italy, and this is what I do." And she did like a pear and gorgonzola cheese, which was very popular. She's done sesame, she's done ube, which is a Filipino fruit. Mm-hmm. So she gets her inspirations from all over, and she's not tied to tradition. She'll do whatever she thinks. One of my favorite ones is the Elvis, which was chocolate, peanut butter, and banana. It's
Nothing more
amazing.
American than that.
Nothing more American than Elvis. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there's a combination then of these sort of unique flavors that, to me, when I think of it too, when you say pear and gorgonzola, maybe I don't think of that as like a mainstream American consumer would like that, but it's taking something that is like foundationally this style of gelato, but giving it a twist that makes it unique to where you are. And that I can imagine resonates with your customers, American or not. They get a taste that maybe they were not expecting.
Yeah. I mean, we have about 20, we have 20, was it 24 flavors in the case, and there are always 10 or 12 that are our regular flavors, the chocolate, the strawberry balsamic, which is very popular. And then there are about 12 every quarter, every season that she experiments with. When you're coming up to fall, she does things like sweet potato, whiskey apple pie. Those are things you would never see in Italy.
Yeah. So at what point you opened in 2008? Sounds like, was it an immediate success? What was that first year like?
It took some time. I think when we knew, so we didn't have any employees. We did all of it ourselves between the family members. So the very first time we hired an employee, we had to go to a family wedding, all four of us, and we were like, what are we going to do? We don't have anybody to run the store. So we hired a young man that had been a regular customer, and we got a call halfway through the wedding, and he's like, I am slammed. It was, I think, a Friday or Saturday night. He said, I've got a line out the door. What am I going to do? So, we said our goodbyes. We headed home, and it was very touching. When we got there, there was a family. We knew their name, the Lawrences. They had been good customers. They had about four children, and they were behind the counter helping him. They had just jumped in and were helping him. He was panicked. He was, deer in headlights. And that was a couple of years, 3 or 4 years in, but that's when we started to realize that, we had a following. We had, we had people that really liked what we did, but it took a few years. It wasn't, what do they say? I think in Nashville, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
I know. So, you don't realize all that's like happening to become an overnight success. And then all of a sudden it's there, and what a nice place to be. At what point did you open a second location, or when did you open a second location?
So we were approached fairly early, within a couple of years when we were at Canaan. We were approached by the owner of the Wisdom Center, and he really wanted us there. So we moved there, I think, in 2013, and that's when we started looking. We said, okay, we had a bigger location. There were more restaurants nearby. Things were going really well. There was a big jump from moving from Canaan just down the street to Roadside. And so we started looking. We looked in the valley, but then our second location was Westlake. We saw they were building out that Target shopping center. And even though it was very close to Agoura, they're different communities. And so we took that leap, and that was our second one. I don't remember what year that was, but I think we're coming up on 10 years. We're coming up on the 10th year of that lease. So that's when we opened our second one.
Incredible. And that is true that they're not too far away from each other, I guess, as like the bird flies, as the crow flies, but still like different markets and definitely different people who might go to both, but could also individually stay in separate locations.
Yeah.
And when did the franchise part of the business come in?
So I think it was a few years after that that we got together and we said, we want to open more, but we're leery. We want to keep in touch with the community. We want to still be able to, be a part of the community and part of the business. And if we open too many under our just with us, with our family, we're not going to be able to do that. If we open something, in Camarillo or, further south in the valley, it's going to be difficult. So we decided to franchise at that point. Camarillo was our first franchise location. Thousand Oaks followed fairly quickly after that as well. And it's a very different business. It's not the same as running your business. Now you're teaching somebody how to run their business. But we felt very strongly that to maintain those community ties, it had to be somebody in the community, it had to be another family like ours that wanted to do it. And they didn't have to figure out all the recipes. We do all that for them. But we wanted we wanted all of our Tifas to have those strong ties and not to be, we're kind of the anti-franchise. We didn't want to be, like some of the big ones where you just think of this nameless, faceless corporation. We want to highlight, and if you look at our website, you can see who the owners are of each location, and there's a little bio. We want the people in the community to know that that's their Tifa, not ours.
Well, it's interesting that you comment on that, because at first when you hear franchise, to your point, it sounds like, it's just allowing a location to be open somewhere where you are not. But I could imagine as a family run, like all four of you so heavily involved, like how to teach other people to do that must be really challenging. But if you're selecting other families who, I saw the family in Thousand Oaks, I mean, truly like another family who's fully involved, that's an easier teaching, I imagine, or education process.
It is. It helps to kind of, everybody's got different talents. Candace and Shawn are the creative ones. Shawn used to make our chocolate. Candace is the one who came up with all the recipes for the gelato, and she's now, fully engaged in all the recipes, the production, and everything like that. Denise has the warmth and the community. Our whole customer service model is built on my wife Denise and her, making people feel comfortable. So, we felt that same formula can translate, that no family. Every family is made up of people with different talents and different abilities. So we thought that would be a good way to go.
It's so sweet to hear you talk about it. It is so nice to hear a family working together like that. I'm curious, what is it like to work with your family members? What's that dynamic like? Are you all making decisions together? Or it sounds like maybe each of you own a very specific part of it?
Yeah, Shawn? You want to take, what is it like to work with your family?
Oh, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah. It has its challenges. It definitely does. You don't get to turn it off. As my wife would say, I'm always in business mode. Even on vacation, I'm looking at places going, oh, that would make a good location. And it's hard to turn off. Amazingly enough, though, even though we work together, we still all get together for Sunday night dinner. The kids, Shawn and his wife and his two children, come over to the house. Candace and her husband and their baby come over to the house, and we still have family dinners together. And it's not all about business, and we still go on vacations together. So
it's very impressive that that you can work together and still vacation together, and
it takes work.
Enjoy each other. Yeah. Well, I always like to ask, do you think that Conejo Valley is, or why, to begin with, did you open a location in the Conejo Valley? Were you already residents in the area?
We had just moved here. We'd only been here about 2 years. Okay. I used to work for WellPoint, which is based in Newbury Park. That's Blue Cross of California. And then I worked for several companies that were based here in Conejo Valley. But Shawn and Candace went to school in Torrance, and we grew up in Torrance. And we moved up here. We really like the area. It's full of parks. It's open space. The people are wonderful. It's even though it's only about 50 miles, it's a different lifestyle than being in the South Bay. So not that we didn't enjoy walks on the beach in the South Bay, but we love this area.
Yeah. And with your franchisees now, are you focused on Conejo Valley and Conejo Valley adjacent, or expanding out of initial area?
Shawn, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so we're kind of identified key premium trade areas around the United States that kind of reflect the KPIs that we look for in successful locations, and then we kind of just pair families that are in those trade areas and kind of sign them, and we walk them through the whole process, all that stuff, So we've got about 7 or 8 states that we're interested in. There's quite a few. We like certain types of climates and demographics and all these kinds of things. But really, it comes down to more of a pairing process. We care deeply about what franchisees represent the brand. And, we find all of our most successful franchisees kind of have that ability to kind of, trust the process that we put together for the past 17 years, and just really just do outreach to the community. That's what we really want, we're doing very, very well. This is definitely a growth period for us. The first few franchisees were just literally customers that come in, and literally found me, there was not even like a direct link to me, they had to like stalk me down and find me, and really, really kind of be out of the culture community already. And now we're moving kind of not organically, call it, so actually finding good pairings in communities and, nationally. It'll be 5 states here soon. So we're really, it's important. We don't honestly just let anybody in this brand, we really care deeply for our franchisees. We don't allow, really remote ownership, as it were, or just investment or something like that. This brand has been a blessing, to our family. It's allowed me to raise my children. My children aren't raised anybody, but me, which is the biggest thing in the world, So it's been such a blessing for us. So it's meant to get back to that. We've always felt that, money is very secondary, in life, to us, especially, even in a business context, really, truly, it's enjoying what you do, and being excited about the business that you're in. We believe that anybody that's going to be successful will be successful in any business that they choose to go into. Right. We just want people that are going into this business, to kind of have the same passion, that we do. So, we've got a few more places to expand into, definitely, but are doing very, very well. At the moment, it's going to be a busy year, for me, that it looks like. So
that is good. And if people were interested in learning more about becoming a franchisee, they just visit your website to find out more?
Yeah.
We actually have a separate website, tifafranchising.com.
Okay.
But you can get to it from the other website as well.
Great. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of our initial franchisees were customers, but now we're opening 2 in Dallas. We've got 1 in San Diego, 1 in Bakersfield, and in Tustin coming up as well.
Okay, incredible. What do you see as the vision for Tifa?
We want to continue to grow, but we want to do it in a thoughtful, intelligent way. And we've mentioned this before. It's important to be part of the community. We do a lot of events with local charities, churches, synagogues, schools. So we want people. We don't want a company that just kind of proliferates across in areas where they're not going to be successful, or they're not going to be not going to thrive. So we're taking it slow. We're really being very careful about how we vet our potential franchisees. We have a very strong brand identity. It was built, by my wife Denise and by Shawn. Really, this connection to the community, and connection to people, and being a place. You see a lot of dessert or ice cream places that kind of have this cold feel, like they're white tiles and plastic chairs, and it doesn't make you feel like you want to stick around. And we try to do the opposite. We've got games. I love to walk into one of our stores and see people teaching their kid how to play checkers or chess or dominoes, things like that. So we really want it to kind of work in areas where there is a strong sense of community, not like tourist areas, things like that. So I think that's our expansion plan. I don't know where it will go, ultimately, but it's not going to be, like a Subway or something like that. It's going to be manageable.
Okay. Well, and I know Shawn mentioned at the beginning, like a legacy brand, this was not the intention, maybe, I don't know, initially was just to open the one spot, but now in some way you want it to be a national brand, a name that's going to stick around for a long time.
That's our hope and our goal. Yeah.
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 Well,
But it starts with the families that, it's a one-to-one connection. And Shawn, all four of us work with them very closely, and that's important.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, hey, there's 17 years already. That is nothing to shake a leaf at. So congratulations already on a huge,
Thank you.
on that amount of time. That's really incredible. Which brings me to my next question, which is, what has been the biggest challenge in running Tifa so far?
Shawn, do you have one? I've got.
Go for it.
I think part of the challenge has been, like I said, transitioning to franchising, which is a very different business. It may seem like it's the same, but being able to run your own business is not the same as helping people run their business. So that's probably the biggest challenge, and then just there are always day-to-day challenges, and I think you have to. I think it's good to have like a plan and a business plan and things like that, but I think you also have to understand that life and the world will throw things at you, and you need to be able to respond. And I think the most important thing is to listen to your customers. As you can see with our journey, we started with a little cart in the mall, then we added gelato, and eventually we added games. And initially we were very European in style, and then we kind of went more to American. So we learned from our customers. We learned, about what resonates with them, about what works. So it's not one big challenge. It's little challenges every day, and overcoming them, and just continuing to grow, and not necessarily having a plan in your mind that this is what we will be exactly like 20 years from now, and sticking to that no matter what happens. I think it's being adaptable is an everyday challenge.
Anything you want to add, Shawn?
Oh, that was a mouthful. Yeah, sounds
Okay. And
dealing with his dad is probably his biggest challenge.
I know. I mean, I love that that's not the first thing that comes up, but I appreciate that you guys are honest and about that too. So what would you say you're most proud of?
Well, for me personally, I'm most proud of my children. I mean, as you pointed out, 18 years ago, Shawn and Candace were a little bit younger, and they've grown so much. They've turned into business people. Not just scooping or making chocolate or making gelato. They've learned. But I probably said this too many times, but I think our connection to the community. I mean, for years and still to this day, Denise can't go to like Costco or the local market without people recognize her. People used to throw up their hands, Tifa. We'd be in a restaurant, they'd be like, Tifa. Uh, and that's just so heartwarming to be a part of something like that. I think outside of my children, I'm just proud of what we've done, our connection to the community. That not just that we're known, but that we have people. We had a guy that proposed in our shop. We've had people come in and take their pictures to announce for their wedding announcement, because that's where they first met. That's where they went on their first date. We've had people come after a funeral for somebody that they've lost. And getting our gelato was one of their favorite things to do. Or we've had kids who just get off the plane coming home from college, and that's the first place they go. So all of that is
so many important memories were made there.
Yeah, that we're a part of those memories. That's invaluable.
I actually think now, I think my children's I have 5-year-old twins. I think their first taste of gelato was at Tifa. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, what a cool, memory that was made for them too. And why not start them on like really high quality gelato if they're going to be eating that. So
quality over quantity.
For sure. Okay, so I love to ask a couple rapid fire questions. I'd love for each of you to answer them. So the first question is, what is your favorite gelato flavor, if you had to choose?
Shawn, I'll let you go first on this one.
Oh, gee, so many of them. I was hoping to get sick of gelato by this point, so I didn't have to do so much cardio there. But I would say probably strawberry and balsamic vinegar is probably a really good one for me. I love that we can kind of do whatever we want. So the case is just full of sweet stuff. You get all kinds of savory, tart flavors. So it's probably the strawberry balsamic. You know what I mean? It's going to be my most heartfelt one. I remember the night my sister and I came up with that recipe. We started we were in our very first location. We'd be up till 3 a.m. Just so excited, about putting whatever we could into chocolate, putting whatever we could into the gelato batch freezer. And, there's some hits and some definite misses in there too. I think I remember the misses more than I remember the hits, to be honest with you.
Sure.
But yeah, we found out a few things. We found out that people don't want frozen meats inside of their gelato. So bringing prosciutto, it sounded like a good idea in theory, but something about frozen prosciutto didn't really translate.
Right. The texture has to be a little bit off-putting.
Yeah.
Funny little anecdotal thing here. I was making the chocolate. I was the chocolatier when we first started out. No, I loved the way that pipe tobacco smelled, And so my sister and I were always going to dinners, figuring out crazy stuff. Like I like a sushi roll one. I like wasabi and ginger and chocolate truffle and stuff like that, And so we were always doing crazy stuff. And so I steeped some ganache in cherry wood pipe tobacco, not thinking that you're really not supposed to swallow tobacco. And so our rule was always we would try anything together for the first time. And we both ended up greening the gills there, and quickly decided that was not.
You learned your lesson.
Yeah, I would say probably the strawberry balsamic. It's like in a yogurt style base. A little more on the tart side. But that's probably my favorite. I still remember the night we came up with that recipe together.
How fun to be able to experiment with your sister and have those memories too. That sounds really incredible. Mike, what's your favorite flavor?
The pistachio and lemon curd. So that's one that Candace made out of necessity when we lost our pistachio vendor in Italy, and she had to scramble. And so she added California pistachios with lemon curd from Trader Joe's.
Fantastic. Love it. I've never tried that one. I'm going to have to give that a try.
It's good.
What is your favorite thing to do in the Conejo Valley?
My wife and I love the parks. We walk our dogs every weekend. She walks them every day, but I'm usually in meetings starting early. But every weekend, we go to a different park every time. Just love the open spaces, Wildwood and all of the parks. Love it.
Shawn?
I'm a big outdoors guy, so rock climbing, there's world-class rock climbing all over the place out here, which is really fun. Surfing, obviously, big surfer. It's all that kind of, it's a great place to raise kids. There's so many outdoor activities. We grew up, I had surfing, but we were in kind of South Bay. There wasn't a lot of nature. You couldn't own a house for under $2 million that had a tree on it. You know what I mean? A tree in the yard, right? So, I'd say just that overwhelming nature. You can go out and enjoy anytime. Funny enough, I would think it would be some, like a business or something like that. But really, honestly, just having that blessing of just kind of having nature at your beck and call. We take it for granted. People come in, their family members come in from other states, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous." You have to stop for a second and be like, "Oh yeah, it is." You know what I mean? Yeah, I forgot about that.
No, I can fall into that trap too, but especially right now with everything being so green, and it really is a special place for sure to just walk out your door and see nature and be involved in it right away. So I love that. Okay, last question for each of you. What piece of advice would you give to first-time entrepreneurs?
I think I'd have to repeat what I said before is nothing is set in stone. Don't get your mindset on exactly what your business will be. Follow what your customers want. Be flexible. Understand that every day is a challenge. Every day is a little bit new, but don't you know. You may be going in one direction, and you may find that you have to just pivot a little bit, or you have to pivot a lot. But I think that's what business is. It's not a plan, an immovable plan.
Amazing.
Oh, to me here,
Yes.
be successful in business. I would just say show up every day. If you have, if your heart's in, in something, you just show up every day, and you do, what's just put in front of you that day, enjoy that day, you enjoy whatever, solutions, any problems you have come up, but you just show up every day. We didn't get to where we're at now, and like most of these franchise brands that pop up in a year and a half, and then they, their second year of business, they overextend and get a bunch of aggressive salespeople out there and promise you the world, and then, 5 years, the brand is completely obsolete, right? We got here just by, I think, our hearts, doing what we wanted to do. And then you just show up every day, Every day is an adventure, God never puts more on your plate, than you can handle on any given day, So you just show up, you just enjoy your day, and you just take it one day at a time, really, to be totally honest with you. If you start looking, if there's any young entrepreneurs out there, people that are actually, who's starting their business for the first time, they're looking and listening to this, you see point A and B, you see where you're starting, and then you see where you want to end up, right? But you don't know the timeline that's going to be in between those, right? So you really just show up, and you just every single day, one day after another, and it all pieces together, and you eventually get, to where it is. I think a lot of people undershoot the amount of time it takes to be successful in business. Yeah. They see, the guy on Instagram's got the Lamborghini, you know what I mean? Man, like, I should be, a year, in a year I should be there, whatever it is, right? That timeline is never what you would think it would be, So you just enjoy your process. I think the enjoyment of the process is much more rewarding than the enjoyment of the end goal, So that's what I would say. If you're just like a means to an end, you just want to start a business so you can sell it or something like that, so you can get to the pot of gold, the end of the rainbow, you're going to be very unfulfilled, in your life. I think you have to actually, just like what you do. And that's what I would say.
I think that is fantastic advice, and especially coming from a business that's been around for 17 years and is going to have, sounds like, one of their busiest years this year with the franchises. Great way to look at it. Take it every day as it comes and actually enjoy it. So Thank you both so much. This was such a enlightening conversation. Really amazing to see how, as a family, you've been able to do something that was intended to bring you all together, resonate with your family, and had success with it, and really made such an impact on the community. I can definitely tell you, at least within the Conejo Valley Visionaries community, people wanting to hear from you guys, and just my neighbors in general raving about your gelato and chocolate. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
I wish you so much more.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was Mike Ashamalla and Shawn Orr of Tifa Chocolate and Gelato. To enter to win a $50 gift card to Tifa, all you have to do is go like at Tifa Chocolate and Gelato and at Conejo Valley Visionaries on Instagram, and comment on the Conejo Valley Visionaries' latest post with your favorite part of this episode. Screenshot the episode and share it on your stories, tagging at Tifa Chocolate and Gelato and at Conejo Valley Visionaries to enter a second entry. Good luck. Make sure to subscribe to Conejo Valley Visionaries wherever you listen to podcasts so that you never miss an episode. And follow us at Conejo Valley Visionaries on Instagram to learn more about each guest and enter our weekly giveaways. If you want to share your visionary story on the podcast, send us a DM. We are always open to guest nominations. This episode was produced by Christina Denstead and Justin K. Sloan. Conejo Valley Visionaries is edited by Justin K. Sloan and J. Sloan Productions.